SKOR North on AM 1500 KSTP St. Paul, Minneapolis, 94.5 KSTP FM St. Paul HD2, and on SKORNorth.com. TCL is a proud sponsor of the SKOR North Studios. TCL, America's fastest growing TV brand. It's Purple Daily.
Kyler Murray runs it. Got to get out of bounds. Murray still moving. Wow! Look at the speed. Kyler Murray touchdown. OU 67 yards.
That highlight courtesy of the Oklahoma Sooners Radio Network, and this is Purple Daily on the all-new SKOR North on 1500, SKORNorth.com. I'm Ramie Makhlouf along with Judd Zulgad, Manny Hill on the other side of the glass. We're also streaming live. You can watch our beautiful faces at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We made it easy for you to follow us on all those platforms. It's very, very easy. It's at SKOR North if you want to get in on the show. 651-646-8255. That's 651-646-8255. Or tweet us at SKOR North. And why did we play a Kyler Murray highlight?
I do have to correct you very quickly.
What did I do now?
That was not the Sooners Radio Network. That was Gus Johnson on Fox, actually.
Oh, my guy Gus.
The Red River Shootout against Texas.
I'm surprised I didn't recognize. How did I not recognize Gus Johnson's voice? I've been listening to him call Bucks games for 2 years. My bad, Gus.
Slight oversight.
That's on me, man. My bad. I'm sorry. But Kyler Murray tweeting out just about 15 minutes ago is we were just about to start the show, Judd, and we had juicy Adrian Peterson to the Vikings talk to have. And we're going to push that back to about 12:20. Kyler Murray tweeting out what sounds to me like a commitment to be a full-time NFL quarterback, tweeting from at the Kyler Murray. He's verified. He's got the blue check mark and everything, so this is real. He says, moving forward, I am firmly and fully committing my life and time to becoming an NFL quarterback. Football has been my love and passion my entire life. I was raised to play QB, and I very much look forward to dedicating 100% of myself to being the best QB possible and winning NFL championships. I have started an extensive training program to further prepare myself for upcoming NFL workouts and interviews. I eagerly await the opportunity to continue to prove to NFL decision makers that I am the franchise QB in this draft. That's Oklahoma QB Kyler Murray stating his intentions that he will enter the NFL draft and be a full-time NFL quarterback. Judd, A, your reaction, and B, if he's there at 18, do you want him in a Minnesota Vikings uniform?
The juicy one.
Yeah.
I am not surprised. And again, this proves that football, at least in 2019, always wins, right? Football always wins. I mean, a year ago, this kid signed the lucrative contract with the Oakland A's. He was going to play baseball. And then he's like, but I just want to go back and play one more year of quarterback at Oklahoma and, satisfy that urge to play football. But after that, I'm all baseball. Oh, wait, I'm really good at football. Let's see here. Okay, so my options are I can get all of the A's money, which is a good deal.
What do you have, like $6 million due to him?
Yeah, but the flip side of that then is, despite the fact that I was just a star football player, if I do that, I'm going to start where? The highest that he would start with the A's, probably a high class A or something. Like, you're not going to be in AAA. You're probably not going to be in AA unless you go down there and are super successful. The point being is the options were potentially be a franchise star quarterback, which teams covet and will pay you a ton to be. And if you're good, you'll have a very successful career probably, and or go play baseball. And by the way, if you flame out at football, guess what? You can still go play baseball.
That's true.
So I'm not surprised. Football wins. Football always wins.
That last point I will concede to you, that there is always the option that you can go back to baseball. But to me, baseball is probably the hardest sport to just show back up to after taking years off and just try and get back to that same level you were playing at before, because try not seeing 95 plus miles per hour with movement, with action and
Sure.
and hitting that after, 2 or 3 years off. I would contend, Judd, and now I'll admit that baseball is far and away my first and greatest love in my entire life. I think that baseball is probably the safer bet for Kyler Murray. And I say bet because if I'm as talented as that young man is, I'm going to gamble on myself that I am going to make it to the major leagues. And it's a little easier to gamble on myself that I am going to make it to the major leagues when I have a $6 million signing bonus from draft day to sit on while I work my way through the minors. And yes, ride buses and eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But I can also go to the steakhouse from time to time when we're on the road because I got a $6 million signing bonus when I was drafted by the A's.
But that's the key thing. What do younger people, for the most part, lack now completely? It's patience.
Right. They want instant gratification.
Right. I don't want to go play at Modesto. I can go potentially play in, the Dolphins and the Cowboys. So I think now what you're seeing is a kid who basically probably got pulled in two directions, is going to be paid a lot in either direction, but sees the opportunity to, if he gets drafted, worst case, if he's successful, if he's drafted, his curve in football will be a year basically as a backup. Probably not that. Probably gets thrown into the mix by the team that drafts him at some point in 2019. And then ideally he starts in 2020. It's patience. And baseball takes what? Baseball, the game itself on the field, off the field, all of those things take patience. Should the Vikings be interested in him at 18 if he's there? Absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
Really?
Now that doesn't mean that it's a slam dunk that you take him, but yeah, I am now going to the Kirk Cousins proposition here is a 3-year deal. It's a 3-year potential window to try and win. But if Kyler Murray falls to you at 18, and I don't know that he will, my guess is he won't, but if he does, and there's that opportunity there to look at this and say, can we potentially take a kid that could be our franchise quarterback? And that is something that this team has not been able to find for a long, long time. I think you have to take a long, hard look if he gets to you at 18.
You and I are not on the same page at all today.
That's what makes this more fun.
If you want to jump into the fray at 651-646-8255, feel free, or tweet us at SKOR North. Because first of all, I disagree. If I'm Kyler Murray, I'm going baseball and not football because of everything I just laid out. And really, if you look at the last few years, especially with position players and especially with guys who played baseball at the college level, they're getting to the minors. They're getting fast track to the majors a little faster than they have been.
He's a quarterback.
Yes.
Like if we were talking about a cornerback,
I get what you're saying,
or a safety, I might be like, yeah, you know what? You're probably right. But this is a kid now who looks at quarterbacks and potential franchise QBs. The temptation to stick with football would be incredibly strong to anybody, I think.
Even with a quarterback, the earning window isn't nearly as long or as wide as it is in the sport of baseball, especially a quarterback who uses his feet a lot and is going to take some hits at the NFL level. That's a much shorter earning window in the sport of football than you'll have in the sport of baseball.
But a kid like Murray is never going to make his decision based on thought of failing. So he's going to think to himself, if I go to football and I apply myself as a quarterback in the sport, I'm going to be great.
See,
that's his thought process.
I'm using the same logic that he doesn't plan to fail, so he knows he'll be in the major leagues within 2 to 3 years and earning big bucks by then and earning it for a much longer time than he would in football. I get where you're coming from there. When it comes to whether or not the Vikings should have interest in him, should he fall to them at number 18, I don't think that's smart either if the Vikings were to take Kyler Murray at number 18, because you've gone all, like you said, it's a 3-year window to win with Kirk Cousins, and you've gone all in to try and win in those 3 years. That means that whatever resources you have left after you gave Kirk Cousins what he had, you need to put into winning a Super Bowl now in these next 2 years. One of the 3 years is already gone. You have 2 more years in which you've invested in Kirk Cousins to win a Super Bowl before that blows up in your face. And for me, you don't have a lot of assets in terms of money after what you paid Kirk Cousins. You're going to have to move guys around and restructure guys and let guys walk this offseason just to put together a roster this year, much less bring in free agents who could help you next season. I think that investing what's probably the greatest resource, the greatest asset that you have left now, which is a first-round pick on a quarterback who is either going to sit behind Kirk Cousins or is going to create controversy and unseat the guy who you just gave $90+ million in guaranteed money. You're either setting back this plan that you had, this window to win with Kirk Cousins, or you're just blowing it up in year 2 and putting Kyler Murray at quarterback.
So if he's there at 18, you pass for sure?
Yes.
Oh, boy, I can't. I got to at least think about it.
I can't take a quarterback.
I can. This is a position that this team, Kirk Cousins, you can only assume, in my opinion, is going to be here for 2 more years. You have to. If you come to the conclusion that this is a franchise QB, I think you have to take him.
Maybe next year I'd think about taking a quarterback in the first round, depending on how this season goes. Maybe next year I think about taking a quarterback in the first round. I just don't see how this early on in the Kirk Cousins process, you're already either changing course or using one of those assets, one of those resources to do something other than help you win now. Manny, where do you stand on this?
I have always kind of felt like with first round picks in the NFL, I think you go best player available. And I think if the Vikings are sitting there at 18, and if they think Kyler Murray's the best player available, they should take him. Because they're in a position.
Taking crazy pills.
Well, but here's the thing, though. And part of this goes back to Kirk Cousins being a question mark, despite how much money he's making. If Kirk Cousins had been better than we had hoped he would be in 2018, this isn't even really a conversation. But the fact that we're sitting here a year into Kirk Cousins' deal and we're already thinking, I don't know if this guy is actually it. And I don't know if they're going to be able to surround him with enough talent for him to live up to what he's being expected to be. That's why we're even having this conversation to begin with, because Kirk Cousins, he's okay. He's not bad, but he's not great.
Not yet.
And if you have I think if you're the Vikings and you have an opportunity to get a young quarterback that you can build upon, that a lot of people seem to like, I'm not even sure he's going to be there at 18.
I don't.
To be honest with you,
I don't think he will now.
And I think that says a lot in terms of how good a lot of people think that he can be. And I think if he can be that good, if he's there at 18, I think you got to take him.
What did you expect from Kirk Cousins when the Vikings signed him? Like, did you expect him to be better than he ever was with the Washington Redskins? Because he was better than he ever was with the Washington Redskins. He actually was better. He improved.
I expected that he would run an offense with limited mistakes, which at times we didn't see. The recklessness with the football bugged me. And he's the type of guy I do think in defense of fans, you have to see play on a consistent basis and say, okay, now I know, because the statistics are good.
I was going to say
the statistics are fine.
I know the numbers don't tell the whole story, but if before the season started, I told you Kirk Cousins is going to throw for nearly 4,300 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, you'd take that because you think you have an all-world defense.
But their defense was pretty good.
It was good, but it wasn't what the standard that they had set when they brought in Kirk Cousins.
The issue to me gets to be, and this gets to the intangibles of the player, and so it gets to be a difficult discussion. The issue to me also is the it factor, and he doesn't have that. He doesn't have the it factor. He doesn't have the ability. You didn't see him ever really, in a way, on the field as a captain type take control. You didn't see him. There were things that you saw in watching him on a weekly basis that bother you. And that doesn't mean that he can't have success here. Do I think that he is the Vikings' long-term solution at quarterback to a problem in this town that's been a problem for a long, long time? Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. Do I think that next year is going to be a disaster? No clue. He might be good. But after 3 years, am I convinced that I'm going to look at this guy and say, oh, yeah, this was it. Sign him up again? No, I'm not.
I think
not even close.
I think you've committed yourself to putting the best team you can possibly put around Kirk Cousins. That's what you did with that 3-year contract Rami, that you gave Kirk Cousins. And you're not doing that if you're drafting a quarterback in the second year of that tenure.
But I am not going – if I think Kyler Murray is the guy and he just slides to me, now, I am not pass. I can't pass. I can't do it.
Here's one caveat, one exception that I'll make to what I'm saying, that you don't take Kyler Murray at number 18 if he falls to you. And that is if you sit down with this guy, you go to his workouts, you have the interviews with them, and you determine that he's not a franchise quarterback, but the franchise quarterback, that he's the next big thing in this league, that he's the next Patrick Mahomes. If you think you have that, then okay, you don't pass up on that. But if you think, okay, this guy could be a franchise quarterback in this league. Not top 5, not that top tier quarterback, not in the conversation of like a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers in terms of today's pantheon of quarterbacks. Unless he can be that, I'm not taking him there. And even if he is that, still the only way that I take a quarterback at number 18. And this goes back to something I said on Saturday on Mackey and Judd with Ramie. Yes, there was a Saturday edition of Mackey and Judd with Ramie. I know what you're thinking. I missed it.
Wake up.
Get it at SKORNorth.com. If you can find somebody to take Kirk Cousins off your hands and trade for him. And I don't think that's that crazy a possibility because this league is quarterback starved. And there's somebody out there who thinks Kirk Cousins is better than what we have. And I can get even more out of Kirk Cousins because I'm that good of a coach.
When you say franchise QB, I immediately think to myself, somebody who will develop, that's the word, develop into a top 10 QB, which Cousins is not. So if we're talking about, when I'm talking about the prospect of thinking long and hard about taking Murray, it is all based on that. So I'm not saying that he gets to you, he falls to you at 18, and you think to yourself, let's take a gamble. I'm saying that you have decided that this is a franchise QB.
That you can't pass on.
And if you think that this guy could be a top 10 QB and he's there, you have to take him. This is coming from the guy who I will remind you started perhaps the biggest fight in the history of the Mackey and Judd show by saying in 2005, Aaron Rodgers was projected with Smith to be the top overall pick in that draft. And the Niners took Alex Smith. And if you recall, Aaron began a free fall. And the Vikings not once but twice said, we don't need him because we've got our QB. And this is the position, gents, that if I can fill with a player I think can be great, I'm not passing up for that player.
And that following season, that ensuing season, Dante blew out his knee.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. There's some logic to my madness here in what I've seen and with that position in particular. Now, to your point, if you decide that this is not a franchise QB, if you decide that he is, let's say he's going to fall between 11 and 22 or something, then I probably do pass.
I think the other part of this too, this goes back to my thought on in the first round in the NFL, especially, you just take best player available, unless you're picking somewhere in the top 5 and there's an elite player at a position that you need. Like if you need a quarterback and you're picking in the top 5, which most of the time, if you're picking in the top 5, you probably need a quarterback anyway. But if you're in the Vikings position at 18, you take the best player available, because the other thing I don't want the Vikings to do at 18 is, and all the Vikings fans, they're all thinking one thing right now, right? Take a guard. Take a guard. They need a guard. Tom Compton was terrible. Take a guard. Well, if there's not a good enough guard to take at 18, if the best guard available can be had in the second round, I don't want the Vikings taking him at 18 just because they need a guard. And that might be what fans want, but like that's where you look at that particular spot in the draft and you just take the best guy available.
Some tweets have come in at SKOR North. That's at SKOR North. Ryan says, Ramie, you have to pay Kirk anyway, and you need 18 to get another skill player or elite lineman. Paul says if he's there at 18, 100%. Michael says, I think given Cousins had an iffy season one, and in my opinion, not the guy to lead this team to the Super Bowl, might be nice to possibly get that sort of QB at 18. Man, Douglas says, Judd Murray is listed at 5'10", which means he is probably 5'9". I think that alone makes him far too risky for consideration in round one.
Tell that to the guy in Seattle or the guy in New Orleans.
Honest to God, let's stop with heights. If you make, you're fired. If you come in, if you're an evaluator and you bring up height, you're fired. Come on, what is this, 1982?
Two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now are under 6 feet.
If you don't think he's the guy, that's fine. Like if you just don't like him, that's fine. But honest to God, people, let's stop talking about people's heights.
I think at quarterback, I used to buy it, but I mean, a few guys have come along in the last 5-10 years who have proven that wrong, that you can be a successful, shorter quarterback.
Brock Osweiler's 6'8", and he stinks. Like, come on, people.
Amen.
I don't think they're saying
the tallest quarterback in football stinks.
I don't think anybody's saying that every tall person can play quarterback. They're just saying that it helps you be a quarterback if you're tall.
I know, but if that's your basis for why you're going to pass on a guy, give me a break.
I agree.
Monday, I got a headache already.
As we were walking to the studio to start the show, Judd goes, I feel good for a Monday. Not anymore. We took it all out of him in the first segment of Purple Daily.
Yeah, I felt really good
and we're back right after this on SKOR North on 1500, SKORNorth.com.
SKOR North, Minnesota sports. Anytime, anywhere. SKOR North.
About 3 minutes.
Hey, Royce.
This portion of Purple Daily is brought to you by Fratelloni's Ace Hardware and Garden Stores, proud sponsor of the beer show, heard Thursday evenings right here on SKOR North.
Man, I like Adrian Peterson in Detroit. They have a young kid in Kerryon Johnson, man, who I really like. Kerryon is going to be a stud in this league, but I think he can learn a lot from Adrian Peterson, just the approach of how to be a pro, how to handle being a full-time running back.
I like what division you're dealing with. I like the NFC North. But it's time to bring AP back home.
What?
It's time to bring him back to Minnesota where he started.
Thousand Lakes.
Yes,
There you
right.
go.
I mean, think about it. Latavius Murray may be out of there. You still like Dalvin Cook. He's going to be there. But remember, this is a two-backs league now, 2-3-back league. You bring Adrian back. What I saw last year, there was a lot of gas in the tank, and it would be phenomenal to see him finish his career off in Minnesota where it all started.
That was on the NFL Network. First voice you heard was LaDainian Tomlinson,
the rational one,
saying Adrian Peterson should go to the Lions. And then the second voice you heard was another Hall of Fame running back, Terrell Davis, saying AP back to the Vikings would be a good fit. What do you think? It's Purple Daily, and you can get in at 651-646-8255 or tweet us at SKOR North. You can also see us streaming live at SKOR North on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Do you want AP back with the Vikings? Manny, can we make this a poll, please?
I think I could pull that off.
At SKOR North. Should we make it a simple yes or no, or do you want to be a little more complicated about it than that, Judd?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay, just
yes
a simple
or no?
yes or no. Do you want
he
AP
can sign with them?
Third option being Brett Favre.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely, Brett Favre.
Yes, make the third option Brett Favre,
and guess
please.
What? Brett Favre will win going away.
Do you want AP back in a Vikings uniform? Get in at 651-646-8255. Judd, I get a sense I know how you feel about this.
Well, the only way that I want him back, and it's possible, is if he wants to sign a one-day contract and retire a Viking, like they do in other sports.
Really?
And I think Chris Carter did that here. Yeah. And it's common now in football to do that. But no, I have no interest whatsoever. And I got a tweet last night about this after.
Is this strictly football?
Tweeting my opinion.
Is there other stuff?
No, it's strictly football. Here's the thing. I got a tweet last night saying, why did you love Moss so much and Peterson was great too and you don't love him? I loved both players watching them as a spectator in their prime. They were fantastic. But when Moss came back for that short period in 2010, which was a disaster here, it was a massive mistake. He was past his prime. He still was a diva, but he wasn't worth that. He was not a good guy in that case in the locker room. And in Peterson's case, it's just done. Like people are going to throw. Yes, people are going to come back and throw out the stats. But guess what? But guess what he needs then? He needs carries. I'm not going to give him carries. Dalvin Cook is my guy. If Murray is gone, I want a running back behind Adrian, or behind Dalvin Cook, I should say, who can catch the ball, who can block, who's versatile. Adrian Peterson, to his last day on this earth, won't be those things. He will be a guy that can run the football. When he was a star, guess what? That was fantastic. Those days are long gone. I am not going to give him enough carries where he'll be happy because I don't give a damn about him going up the rushing charts. I don't believe that he has improved his blocking and or ability to catch the ball enough to be consistent in those areas. I have an offense now that's going to be built around largely the success of Dalvin Cook. And what I want when I replace Dalvin Cook occasionally or a lot is Dalvin Cook Jr. basically. Adrian Peterson is not. There is Adrian Peterson, if he's going to come back and play this coming season, should do it with a bad team that can hand him the ball a ton, and the stunt will be watch him go up the rushing all-time chart. Because Adrian Peterson, as a functional running back in this league now, with the way that the game is played, is not going to help the Vikings. He's going to demand carries.
Is at this age, you think he's still demanding carries? You don't think he'd be good with a reserve role where he plays second fiddle to Dalvin Cook?
I saw him on opening night. Was that 2 years back now, playing for the Saints?
2017, yeah.
Yeah, 2017. His first game after going to the Saints, I saw him chasing Sean Payton up and down the sideline at US Bank Stadium screaming. He wanted more carries.
Well, yeah, but when he
didn't like his usage.
When he went to the Redskins, he didn't go there with the understanding that he was going to be the guy. He ended up being the guy for him this year because of injuries, but he went there with the understanding that he would be part of a running back by committee.
But it's never going to suit him. He is never going to get that. I dealt with this guy, and as a superstar, he was fantastic. But as a strictly supporting player, he's lacking. He's just lacking. He's never. Ideally, if you signed him, the most important thing, if you signed him to this team, the most important thing would say, Adrian, I need you to understand coming here that you're going to be the backup to Dalvin Cook, and that your primary role is going to be excellent in pass protection. Can't do it. He can't do it. He can't block.
He's not going to block.
But I mean,
that's not something that you should expect from him.
But you're never going to sign him. And
you wouldn't bring him here as a guy who comes in and relieves Dalvin Cook.
No, because he can't play on third down.
Okay, so find somebody else. I mean, you're going to have three running backs on the roster. If it's not Dalvin Cook and they're on third down.
But he's high maintenance, and he's a high maintenance player. And if you bring him here, it's more a stunt than an actual help.
I don't know. I'm looking at a guy who had over 1,000 yards last year, averaged more than 4 yards a carry, and made about $1 million. I mean, to me, that sounds like a pretty good compliment and a pretty good deal to put alongside Dalvin Cook. And you're right, he can't play third down. And if it's not Dalvin Cook in the game on third down, you're going to have to find somebody other than Adrian Peterson. Fine then, the third string running back can come in on third down when Dalvin Cook isn't ready. I look at this and based on his college career and his first 2 years in the NFL, I look at Dalvin Cook, and at this stage in his career, I can't count on him to play 16 games.
But there's a problem there then. If he goes out, Peterson can't replace his skill set. I want someone far closer to Cook's skill set. But are you going to find that? I can find somebody who's a lot closer. I'm not saying that I can find the ideal replacement as far as a guy as talented as Cook, but I can find a skill set far closer because Adrian doesn't come close to that skill set.
If you're without Dalvin Cook, and I'm stuck, and I put that in quotations, with a guy who can average 4.2 yards a carry as a 2-down back, and a guy who's just coming off, and I know 1,000-yard seasons aren't what they used to be, but a guy who's just coming off a 1,000-yard season at age 33, and I can have him at $1 million, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that all day. And on top of that, you would know better than I would what kind of guy Adrian Peterson is in a locker room, but I would think that one thing we do know about Adrian Peterson is he's always ready. He's always prepared physically to play football. He does the things that it takes to be a professional football player. And if nothing else, I like that guy being in the locker next to Dalvin Cook and showing him, if not verbally, like I said, you would know if he's a verbal leader better than I would. If not verbally, then showing by example what it takes to be a running back of the highest level in the NFL. And a guy who at this age, at age 33, and part of that is just being a physical freak and basically being Wolverine from the X-Men. But a lot of that is work that he puts in to be in that kind of condition and to still be playing at this high level at this age. I like that in the locker next to Dalvin Cook and him sort of absorbing some of that.
High maintenance, no interest, zero. There's nothing about him being back here that would intrigue me. I think you have to find. We've been down this path before, and we've seen him as an aging player who demands time and demands carries and demands things and fumbles too much.
Demands a system to be run according to his style, and
there's too many strikes in my mind, and I'm sure he'll play. I think he really should play on a bad team that can give him carries, and I really think his only goal now, it's not championships. His goal now is to get as high on that all-time rushing list as he possibly can.
And that's fine.
That's it.
And that's fine. I think if that's what he wants to do, I think that's more power to him. But I just don't think it's a fit here. The other part of this too is, okay, the numbers, he had a decent season in 2018. He had 1,042 yards on 251 carries, just over 4 yards a carry, 4.2 yards a carry, 65 yards a game. My question for him is, because of that type of season that he had, does he still, in his mind, have this mentality of, yeah, I'm a bell cow still?
Adrian?
Yeah. Give me the ball 20, 25 times a game, because
that's not going to change.
Because going into last season, to your point, Ramie, that maybe, yeah, he did have that understanding of, okay, I'm just going to come in and play a role. I didn't have a very good season with Arizona and New Orleans in 2017. I'm going to step in here in Washington and just fill a role. Whatever they needed me to do, I'll do. But then he ended up having a better season, I think, than maybe even he expected. And now maybe does he have this mentality of, oh, now see, yeah, look what I did. I ran for 1,000 yards, 4 yards a carry. I still got it. I can still be the number one guy.
I don't think the way that he is wired, I don't think it ever really occurs to him that I'll just be a guy. And at one time, that made him very, very special. But as an aging player now who is breaking down, and the stats might still be good, but he is breaking down. If I'm the Vikings, I have no interest in going back there. You've been there once. It was great for a while. It was. He was fantastic. But if I am going to have players behind Cook, I want young players who are closer to Dalvin's skill set and guys that I can develop at this point. No old timers for me. No old timer show here. Not doing it.
But you're trying to win. I don't.
No, I know, but young players.
You're trying to win now.
Young running backs.
You want Kyler Murray and not Adrian Peterson. I'm confused.
Because
Are you rebuilding?
Murray can potentially solve a problem that you have not solved for ages. The Peterson thing is not going to help you win now. He's going to ultimately be in 2000. If you sign him right now, I can guarantee you this. In 2019, no matter what his role or what he does, he's going to end up being a bigger pain in the butt than a help.
So you don't think
I don't think he's part of winning now at all. I'm telling you, I don't think ultimately at this age he's interested in titles. I think he is interested in one thing, the success of Adrian Peterson.
You don't think he's resigned to what he is at this stage in his career?
Absolutely not. I have said on this show 1,000 times, and I will say it again, this is one of the most delusional people I've ever come across. He's delusional. No, he is. He's delusional. He thinks he is still great. And listen, that's why he can still have success. But ultimately now, all of that success is about one person, Adrian.
So you think
it's not about the team.
When he signed that deal with the Redskins, where it was pretty much understood that it was a running back by committee,
he's not thinking that way.
He went into it and went, yeah, they think it's running back by committee, but let me show them. Let me show them what's really going on here.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. Yes. That's him.
And I wonder if the other part of this, too, is you just have to ask yourself, okay, will he fit what they're trying to do offensively? Because Judd, you remember when 2015, they were running that offense according to the way Adrian Peterson wanted. He didn't want to run out of the shotgun, even though playing out of the shotgun was to the strength of the young franchise quarterback.
He didn't like the pistol.
Yeah. He didn't want to do any of that. He wasn't comfortable running. He wasn't comfortable standing next to the quarterback in the shotgun. I mean, so if they bring him back here, but he's got to understand, but
I'm not going back there. Like, I'm not going to have that. I'm not even going to begin to put myself in that position of saying, okay, Adrian, things are different now. The next time that Peterson signs a contract with this franchise, it needs to be a one-day, you're retiring as a Viking contract. That's the next time I deal with this guy at all.
You're killing me in the poll right now, by the way. It's at SKOR North if you want to participate in our Twitter poll at SKOR North. 80% say never, 20% say absolutely. I thought Brett Favre was going to be an option. I thought we were including Brett Favre as an option.
We didn't include Brett Favre?
No,
we easily would have won.
Let's go to the phone, 651-646-8255. Get in. Jim in Texas. You're on Purple Daily. Jim, what's up?
Oh, I'm just listening to you guys, and my personal opinion is Dalvin Cook is no Adrian Peterson. First of all, I think you bring back Adrian. There's not a running back in the NFL that stacks the boxes like Adrian Peterson does, which will open up play action and a lot more options for our team. So, in Dalvin Cook, he hasn't proved anything to me except he's injury prone. I don't know what you guys think.
Do you think at this age, if they sign Peterson and he comes back, that opposing defenses are going to stack the boxes like they did against him in 2008?
Oh, yeah. He proved that this year with Washington. They were doing it all day. Every time that man got the ball, they were stacking the boxes, especially if you're running under center, which is exactly how Adrian runs. Bring it.
You will never be my GM, Jim.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Appreciate it. You're not hiring Jim to run your franchise?
If anybody mentions stacking the box for Peterson or a quarterback's height, you have no chance to be Zolgad's GM.
But you got, I was...
My Alliance of American Football team that I'm going to launch in this market next year, I've eliminated the guy who tweeted about height and Jim.
I didn't watch a lot of Washington Redskins football this year, but I would imagine that especially after Alex Smith went out with that gruesome broken leg, that teams were stacking the box again. Because what else did you have to worry about when you played the Redskins?
Here's the other thing, too. The Vikings already have a quarterback with fumbling issues. And Dalvin Cook has his own fumbling issues.
So why stop now?
You throw in Adrian Peterson, you're just adding more fumbling issues to your offense.
Welcome to the Minnesota hot potato football.
Maddie, what do we want from people more than anything? Consistency.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's go back to the
That's
phones.
one way of looking at it.
Get in David in Minneapolis. You're on Purple Daily. Any interest in AP, David?
No way. I think I'm driving, so sorry if there's static, but basically I would look at like what the Patriots did. Instead of signing some like 32-year-old running back, why don't you just draft someone that is the ground and pound running back? Or they have two guys that was on the active roster all year last year. Let's see what they have. So I don't know. That's my take.
Thanks for the call. I don't think either of those guys amassed a 4.2 yard per carry average and over 1,000 yards last year.
Do you really want him back here?
I think he can help you win football games. Yeah.
I think he's a detriment.
He's a 2-down running back, but he's also a backup running back.
I think he's a detriment.
You think he hurts you?
I think he would hurt you.
You think it's subtraction by addition?
I think that if I am going to go down a running back depth chart right now, I start with Dalvin Cook and I start with a couple guys beat behind him who are young, who have fresh legs, who can block on third down. Yes, I think that ultimately here's the problem. And Cousins is this largely, and Peterson is this for sure. They are box scores. So we look at their stats and they're damn good. And we're like, oh, those stats are good. But when you watch these guys, and I watch Peterson play, and at one time he was fantastic. So don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing the totality of this guy's career. But I watched this guy play through what would it be now? The 2015 season, I believe it was. And by the end, it wasn't worth it. And he led them in rushing in 2015. And I want to say that he was atop the league. And there were still things about that in how the offense had to be orchestrated to him, how the game was evolving and changing, and he couldn't, that bothered me.
You're still crushing me in the poll, but I've made up some ground. It's now 75% never and 25% absolutely would sign Adrian Peterson.
There's going to be a section of fans that vote against him because of the off-the-field stuff as well, which we're not even delving into here right now. I am talking purely as if I know nothing about his off-the-field transgressions. I'm talking purely on what I perceive to be, can he help this football team, and would he be a good potential addition for this team?
One more quick call, and this will be Jim in Lakeville. You're on Purple Daily. What's up, Jim?
Hey, question for you, Judd.
Yeah.
Okay. So you talk about wanting to have a mini Dalvin Cook as the backup running back. Who is that person?
I'm developing him. I'm going to find him. I don't want Peterson's skill set does not necessarily fit in at all, even at its best, but it certainly does not now as an aging player with what they do. This is not about, and by the way, this is not about signing a big name. This is about getting someone who I like and can develop behind Cook. So this is not about going out and getting like Peterson or Bell. And I mean, let's just go spend. The running back position now needs to be a guy that can catch passes, can obviously run the ball, and also block effectively and consistently. And Peterson is lacking in two of those areas. And he was when he was a Hall of Fame talent, which he's not now. So basically, if you bring him back now, you go back to, okay, you're going to give him the ball. He's going to run the ball. Does that fit in with what you're trying to do? And with Cook as your lead back, my opinion is no.
Is AP good enough to play for your AAF team, Judd?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Big draw for that team.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Because I can market that.
The AAF has existed for one weekend, and Judd already has ways to fix the league. We'll get to that right after this on Purple Daily on the all-new SKOR North on 1500 and SKORNorth.com.
SKOR North.
It's exactly what I've been looking for.
Minnesota sports. Anytime, anywhere.